because sometimes the past whispers. Some people think of history as a book in which everything that ever happened has been written down. A book that contains the names of all the people who have lived down through the centuries, the dates of everything they did, accounted for in the ledger of creation, description of their deeds from the most inspiring to the utterly despicable, a huge compendium of facts written in languages sometimes difficult to read, but in this book can be found the answers to any question, the solution to any problem, if we can only find the right page. But there are some people who view history as a looking glass, a cloudy mirror in which we capture a distorted reflection of ourselves. Any questions are subjective, and any answers so amorphic as to be meaningless, because there are no facts, there are no dates, there are no realities that we do not create ourselves. The past then is an illusion in which we amplify those elements of the present we choose to give a greater significance. Consequently then, if we are seeking guidance for the future, we would be better advised to look elsewhere. Facts are important, and so is reflection, and history can be both of these things, and also something more. I think of history as a collection of stories, tales of marvellous places and the remarkable events that occurred there, events that shaped the world or sometimes revealed it in new and unexpected ways. Stories too of people living their lives, pharaohs and queens, poets and paupers, our common ancestors, and in each era they faced their own challenges, their own difficulties, and they met them with their beliefs and their accumulated knowledge. Over the centuries, the world was thus reshaped into the reality that we have inherited, but the people themselves, the people have not changed very much. And because these people living through history are very much the same as we are, sometimes individuals long gone can speak to us directly. And when they do, we should be ready to listen, because these voices from the past can offer us something more than stories or memories or even facts. They can offer us that rarest of all things, the truth. Let me show you what I mean. Let me show you a long-forgotten truth from history, echoing up from the shadowy cloisters of the past. I'm in Coimbra, in central Portugal, on the banks of the Mondego River. For 2 centuries, this vibrant, ever-changing current was the frontier between two worlds, Christianity on this side and Islam on the other. The city lies upstream, where the cool waters flow more sedately. Coimbra has looked out over the Mondego River for 2 millennia, and sometimes it is difficult to be sure where the reflection ends and reality begins. The city has ancient origins and over a millennium has been ruled by Romans, Visigoths, Muslims and Spanish. Coimbra was the capital of Portugal during the 12th and 13th century. In the 14th century, political gravity moved southwards to Lisbon, while Coimbra remained the intellectual capital of the Portuguese-speaking world when the university settled here permanently. Nowadays, Coimbra is famous for its picturesque streets where groups of students in their traditional black robes hurry to their lectures or pause to play the unique local style of fado music. Tourists, pilgrims and local people come together in a vibrant and good-natured throng. Exuberant, everyday life fills the streets. Visitors are tempted to explore the many romantic passageways and stairs. Restaurants and cafes offer the visitor a wide selection of delicacies to sample under the shady trees. Yet it is a city with deep historical roots, and eternity is always just around the corner. It's a beautiful day in Coimbra, a perfect day for us to do some exploring. And our destination is the Colégio de Nossa Senhora de Graça, a hidden gem of Renaissance architecture and a place where the distant past can sometimes feel very close. Along the busy Rua de Sofia, local people are making their way to work. We are in sight of the city centre, and this is the historical heart of the university. Rua de Sofia means the Street of Wisdom. Yet few people pause in front of the nondescript entrance to the Colégio to look more closely at the inscriptions. But here, carved in stone, are the facts. The Colégio was established as a community of scholars operating within the order of the Hermits of St. Augustine. Their coat of arms is on the left. The building itself was completed in 1578, as the inscription confirms, and the institution accepted its first students the following year. Behind the foundation was the university's greatest patron, the Portuguese monarch João III, whose coat of arms is there on the right. King João III, known to posterity as the Pious, had inherited a sprawling global empire, and his 4-decade reign was in many ways a golden age of opulence and power. From across the world, wealth undreamed flowed into Portuguese coffers, and much of this bounty the king lavished on the church or on founding religious institutions, such as the Colégio de Nossa Senhora de Graça. The leading architect of the time, Diogo de Castilho, was given the task of making manifest the royal will. The result was an awe-inspiring product of Renaissance exuberance. The azulejo tiles and vaulted ceiling are testimony to the wealth of the Portuguese monarchy during the 15th century. The church has linked chapels on either side containing carved and gilded woodwork. One of these in particular would surely have appealed to the scholars seeking solace there. For 3 centuries, the college functioned as intended. Generations of students entered these gates to receive the best education the kingdom could provide. Beyond these corridors, though, the world was, as ever, changing. Religious-based education had become more controversial as a new age of science and rationality dawned. In the 1830s, the colleges were disbanded, their opulent facilities put to other uses. The Colégio became an army barracks, and this military tradition continues today, with the building now housing the Liga dos Combatentes, the Portuguese Veterans Association. But here in the central courtyard, the past and present meld seamlessly together. It is easy to imagine the scholars who used to walk these cloisters wearing their traditional robes, locked in earnest debate. Perhaps most poignantly, in accordance with the tradition of those times, many of them were buried here beneath these flagstones. The cloisters are thus filled with the weary tranquility that comes from the passage of centuries. However, the river of time has washed over these stones for so many centuries that the names of the renowned scholars laid to rest here have been slowly worn away. Just up ahead, though, is a doorway through which everyone must eventually pass, which leads to the crypt. now sealed, there can still be read above it a message carved deeply into the eroded stone, a scholar's epitaph, and this is what we have come to see. Both quotes are passages from the Bible, and the first is from the book of the Apocalypse, in which divine commands delivered by angels were recorded. The Latin reads, Scribe, beatimo tui qui in Domino moriuntur, which is Apocalypse 14:13, and could be rendered into English as, Write this, blessed are the departed who have died in the Lord. Since the majority of people in the 15th century were illiterate, this passage had a special meaning for scholars. They would have interpreted these words as being directed specifically at them, as they were the only ones capable of writing them down. Thus, this passage was both an expression of conventional piety and a recognition of the special status enjoyed by those able to actually read it. Because of this, it is also a subtle establishing line for the subsequent quote. This second text is from Ecclesiastes, and at first glance seems to be almost identical in tone. Moritur doctus similitur ut indoctus, Ecclesiastes 2:16. In English, this could be translated as, the scholar, just as the simpleton, must one day die. Again, this seems to reflect the pious fatalism one might expect from a community of monastic scholars. But as they were scholars, they left a deeper meaning for those who might come after them and who were of similar mindset and learning, because anyone familiar with the entire text of the passage might come away with a very different impression. In full, Ecclesiastes 2:16 reads, For the wise, like the fool, will not be long remembered, since all that now is will be forgotten in the days yet to come. The scholar, just as the simpleton, must one day die. A real person chose which words to present. A real hand engraved them into the stone. And by reflecting on their wider context, we are able, just for a moment, to touch the minds of these long-gone scholars. For with these words, they are reaching to us across the centuries. Though they themselves are dust, and even the names on their gravestones are eroded by time, centuries ago, they dared to imagine a future when this would be the case, a future they knew they could not begin to comprehend, and yet which has been realized in us, in our reality. So they consciously left this hidden message, a greeting and an acknowledgement across time for those able to read it. And I find this both immensely poignant and also oddly reassuring. And so what then of this truth that we have come so far to find? Well, it's this. Sometimes the most important things are not said aloud or written openly. Take these inscriptions. They are a fact, carved in stone, and yet their deeper significance only comes to us by reflecting upon them. We need to feel our way to their deeper meaning by following the clues and also by understanding the people who left those clues there for us to find. People who are living in very different worlds to ours, who had their own beliefs, their own knowledge, and their own assumptions. And yet by trying to understand these people, we gain something very valuable for ourselves, a vantage point. Because it's an opportunity for us to step outside our own beliefs, our own assumptions, and see the world with new eyes. And that, I think, is what history is all about. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed our brief exploration of the Colégio de Nossa Senhora de Graça and might like to accompany me on another foray into history sometime soon. But until then, remember, sometimes the past whispers.